Y'all, Wizard101 is a game that launched in the year 2008, and it's only for that reason that posts like this could ever exist. Today, we need to talk about something ridiculous. This post on the Wizard101 subreddit with over 1,000 upvotes and hundreds of comments, where the posters shared something that took them 18 years to do on Wizard101. Now, that in itself is a crazy concept. I wanted to just talk about what could possibly take 18 years to do on Wiz. But also, in this video, I wanted to at least attempt to answer the crazy question on everyone's mind. Could something like this ever be worth it? Now, what did this person achieve on Wiz that took them this long? This is something that a lot of people dream of as a Wizard101 player. This person maxed out every single school. Every single wizard that they have also has a maxed out gear. We're talking meta gear and meta pets. And as if all of this wasn't enough, they're drippy too. They posted a picture of all these wizards. All these stitches are crazy. They're like totally dripped out. Literally every comment in this post pretty much was talking about how drippy they looked. I really expected most of the comments on this post to be like, my boy, 18 years? But honestly, this is one of the most wholesome posts I've seen all week on the Wizard101 subreddit. First off, I wanted to start this whole discussion on this topic by congratulating the homie. This is no small achievement. It's not just the leveling up to 180 part, it's the getting the gear, getting the gardens to get the snacks to make the pets. It is exponentially harder to do that on multiple wizards versus just one. But I get this question all the time. As someone that literally has every wizard maxed out, is something like that, could it ever possibly be worth it on a game like Wiz with all these years behind it? And though this question wasn't really asked that directly, there was a lot of comments like this one where they basically expected it to take an extremely long amount of time to do something like this on Wiz. And as you would expect, there were a lot of posts like this, right? People that also have played for a really long time but still don't have a max wizard because they're playing the game casually, which in my opinion is one of the most fun ways to play Wiz. Now, the reason why I really wanted to talk about this is because I actually think that a lot of games that are older run into this issue where someone that's maybe new, maybe you're someone that joined because of the console launch, maybe you've seen some of the craziness on Wiz recently and you want to dive right back in. I think for a lot of people, when they return to the game after a while and see all of these worlds that are out and so much more progress to have to make, right? A lot of people get very, very intimidated around this whole thing. And that's why I really get this question a lot, I think. Is it really worth it? Is it worth it maybe if you're a casual player to actually make your first max, to actually think about making multiple max wizards? And to me, I think the real answer to that question is how you're playing the game. This is something that I've seen a lot of people do, which actually kind of sucks the joy out of the gaming part of this whole experience to begin with. I think a lot of people see like stacked accounts like this one, right? One max wizard for every single school, and look at that as like the destination. But in my opinion, the only thing that kept me sane through all these years of having all these wizards maxed out, it was the fact that I was in no rush to actually get to the end and get all the stats and whatever. In my opinion, yes, that type of person will always exist. That type of player will always exist. But I actually think as the years have gone on, Wiz is becoming more and more a game where it's much, much more about the actual adventures along the way rather than the actual end goal, which is to make a kitted out level 180 whatever wizard. I'm sure anyone that's done something like this, including me, myself, we can all tell you that honestly, most of the journey to actually doing it wasn't with the goal of doing it in mind. It was actually the enjoyment that came along with it. In my opinion, if you're just doing the main vanilla storyline, you're skipping every side dungeon, every side activity, every social opportunity that presents itself. That's how you really fall out of love with Wiz. That's how it becomes not worth it. If you're approaching the game like any other game, which is about the time that you're actually playing and not the outcome at the end, in my opinion, this is easily one of the best games to sink that much time into. I will say this, and this is just an interesting aspect of this whole thing. I would argue that maybe like 5 to 10 years ago, it was a lot easier to just say that it was worth it to max out every single wizard compared to now. And that's because of a problem that I think has been getting worse that I really, really hope that Wiz actually addresses. So we have hundreds of posts like this every single time someone does this on the Wiz subreddit. And that's a fact that especially early game, there's a lot of replayability that's just essentially getting lost because there is no such thing as a school without a 4-pip AoE anymore. Right, as long as you have spells like Rat Spin and Shipple Fools and you know how to get that little Arch Mastery pip, You can either learn a spell or train a spell that does the same amount of damage to every target out there for 4 pips. Essentially, 1 to 2 rounds after you start the battle, you can basically always kill if you play the game in a certain way, especially with things like enchants from higher level areas. And while that is totally fine, I do think Wiz really needs to go out of their way to add more real opportunities to actually see your school shine in the entirety of Arc 1 and maybe even the entirety of Arc 2. There are so many few examples of your school actually making any sort of difference whatsoever. To me, that's the only sticking point in answering the question of whether actually maxing out every wizard or even maxing out one wizard is worth it. Because really, it should be enjoyable. There should be variety. It should actually feel like an adventure that gets different and harder as you go. I'll be real, I think that whole situation was in its worst position like a couple of years ago. The recent Barkingham update and the recent Aquila update, the one that just hit console, I think they're really addressing the root of the issue, which is the fact that they're adding things like challenge modes where things like AoEs aren't a thing as an optional thing that you could do. They're just adding better rewards in general for things outside of the main storyline. To me, if you don't have enough of those pretty much every 10 to 20 levels, you're really gonna feed into this problem of fatigue that people have when it comes to spending long amounts of time on the game. If it feels like the exact same journey every single time you play through Wiz without any exploration, without any new rewards, without anything with your own school shining, then obviously you're gonna have a lot of people look at something like this and not be like, yo, this is cool, but actually look at it as like, yo, I'm intimidated. To me, that's definitely an element of all of this that I hope Wiz is thinking about as more and more years go by, as more and more people become longer and longer term players. I hope that they are looking at what's working in Barkingham, and instead of waiting every single year to see an update like this, I'd love to see them maybe spend a spring update revamping dungeons like Sunken City, something that you actually do early that really has no reason to run. Right, maybe things like Tomb of the Beguiler, maybe the other side dungeon in Marleybone that I literally Kensington Court, that one. There's all these random side dungeons and all these other things that actually add variety so that you can feel like making multiple maxes has that replayability that Wiz has barely touched. I think those are the best way that Wiz could address what I think is a problem that gets in the way of clearly answering the question of whether it's worth it to max out wizards like this. So definitely a different type of video, but I had a lot of strong thoughts when I saw this post. I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts, whether you're a really long-term player with a lot of maxes or someone that's thought about it but maybe feels intimidated by it. What do y'all think about things in Wiz taking all this time? I think there's something kind of beautiful about it, but also something that Wiz should also, you know, address a little bit for the people that maybe are newer players way more recently. I think it's a very interesting topic to say the least, so I look forward to reading y'all's comments. Let me know what y'all's thoughts. Drop a like if you enjoyed. Leave a sub if you're new, and as always, if somebody hasn't told you you're awesome today, they doing something wrong. Stay awesome. See y'all soon. And yeah.